Welcome to the Light, Camera, Rant Podcast. Your source for the latest on movies, TV shows, and video games. Get ready for ranting, raving, and reviewing. Here is your host, Lee.
Hi everyone, welcome back for another edition of Lights, Camera, Rant. As always, I am your wonderful host, Lee. As my wonderful intro suggested. First things first, what I want to get down to is I don't have, which I'm really sorry, I apologize, I don't have the Suicide Squad review or Free Guy. What we're going to do is we're going to put them on hold because unfortunately in my wonderful state of Victoria, or what some people say, Sictoria, we are still in lockdown. And unfortunately the end in sight is currently looking a bit far away and isn't really an arm's length as I'm recording this. So look, I'm just going to let it just be a total surprise when I decide to bring out those reviews and discuss those movies, which I can see it's trending everywhere. I can see it everywhere. I'm just gutted. But those we're going to put on hold, as well as the episode I talked to you guys about last time with Mark and Dean, the DC one. That's going to be definitely on hold indefinitely until such time. Another thing, first things first, business and pleasure. If you want to check out my Instagram, I have some luxurious merch, a jumper, a mug, a stubby holder, or a hat. You may choose from any of those if you are interested. I also can get anything else if you want a beanie or something like that. And look, all it ever does is, like, I appreciate anyone who purchases them. It just goes into what are any profits or anything like that. It just goes straight into this podcast to make it sound more clearer, make it sound more professional, and yeah, just help the whole environment. The fact that, you know, with your help, I can, this podcast gets, more streamlined and more crystal clear if you can't hear my wonderful voice already. So please go check that out. As it says on my Instagram, there will be a link. Please go have a look. Anything that's terrible, leave me a comment. Tell me what I have to change. I'll make sure to ignore it. So let's get down to this week's episode. So I've got a review for you guys and a listing of top animated movies that I believe that demand a live action experience or a live action adaptation, or well overdue. But first, let's get down to news. So first things first, Sonic 2, Knuckles, his character has been announced, their voice cast, which is Idris Elba. I think he'll be a good addition to the already stellar cast. He's going to be voicing the character. Obviously, right now, his movie's number one was Suicide Squad. And apparently, he's also rumored to be in Thor 4. So that would be cool. And Sonic 2 is scheduled to release in April the 8th, 2022. From my understanding that all the principal photography has been completed. Now it's just a wonderful touch-ups. Moving on, Captain Marvel 2, that started shooting now to get ready for its November 11th, 2022 release date. Look, in the whole scheme of Marvel, this is probably, like, I'm not overly excited for it. The only thing that's made me more excited for Captain Marvel 2 is the fact that also we saw a little snippet of Monica Rambeau's child in WandaVision. I can't wait to see what she does, as well as they've also confirmed Nick Fury. Samuel L. Jackson is also coming back for the movie, which I was not expecting that, but I'm always down for more Nick Fury. Always down. Always down for some more Samuel L. Jackson in anything. Especially the fact that he's been there since day one and he's still going. Iron Man's obviously finished, but Nick Fury, Samuel L. Jackson, he's been a pillar for the MCU since day one and he's still kicking around, and I hope he still kicks around for much longer, which we will see in the Marvel TV show Secret Invasion, which is going to be so stellar, and I can't wait. In other news, Venom 2, sadly, which the entire world is pretty much experiencing anything movies, TV shows, plans, weddings, funerals, all delayed. Delayed. Which Venom 2 has been delayed before, so now I think this is actually its third delay. It's been pushed back to October the 10th. October the 15th. So hopefully we actually get to that date and it actually does come out, because as I said in my previous episode, it looks really sick and it's going to be cool to see something different. Obviously, I love the MCU, but just something that's still Marvel related, and Carnage looks sick. I rewatched the trailer the other day and I'm like, nah, I'm ready. This is going to be cool. Just wish it had that R rating. Just come on, just pull the trigger on it, Sony. It will still make the money. Look at The Hangover. Look at Deadpool. Look at Suicide Squad. Boom. You'll still get your money regardless. In other news, with Venom 2, Tom Hardy has confirmed that Venom 3 will go ahead. Obviously, just depending on the success of Venom 2, because he is signed on for 3 Venom movies. But in a recent interview, he said that he's really hoping that Spider-Man will appear, and he really hopes that Tom Holland will appear, and they get to go head-to-head, which, another thing, I'm all for it. The best gif in my entire MCU thing is the one with Fry saying, "Take my money. Take my effing money. I want to see this." There's a lot of people that want to see it. It's simple. Sony, Marvel, get it together, and we can hopefully see this. I do understand the fact that Tom Holland's contract has to be reworked after Spider-Man 3, because I think he's actually up. That's 3 Spider-Man movies and 2 Avengers movies. Cameo in Captain America 3. So I think he's up to date on his contract, so he has to rework that. Look, I think he's done a fantastic job as Spider-Man. I do know that, with a role, there's probably a certain amount of time that you should play it, which, that's an argument that a lot of people make on all these superhero characters. Is like, how long do you keep playing a character until, the final breath, or, you don't want to stick around for too long. In saying that, if you look at Hugh Jackman, you look at Hugh Jackman, how long he played Wolverine. He played, for so long. X-Men 1, 2, 3, Origins, the Wolverine, Logan, Days of Future Past. 7 movies. 7 movies, and we're still, every time he appeared, we're like, I want another one. I want another one. And people are still clamoring for him to come back right now. And I think he should stay away from the character, because Logan was such a good send-off. You put the character to bed. I do think, I was saying this to Dean the other day, or Mark, or Perry, one of the 3, was the fact that if at this stage, I feel like they still need to give it a good 5-8 years before they eventually press that reboot button on Wolverine, because of Hugh Jackman's major legacy. But I do believe that Hugh Jackman shouldn't come back, or if he does come back, it's just for a cameo, or he pops around Spider-Man 3, or Doctor Strange in the Multiverse, just a cameo, just a small little tidbit. He doesn't need to come back for the entire movie, just a small thing. So Hugh Jackman did all that. I still think Tom Hardy's got lots of mileage still left in playing Spider-Man, especially the fact that obviously the pillars of Captain America and Iron Man are gone. I do believe that he would be, to moving forward to eventually towards the Avengers 4, Tom Hardy growing up, he would be a major step forward as a pillar, especially with all these new characters coming in. The fact, I've seen it all, and and I think a lot of people would be down if between him or Captain Falcon led the Avengers moving forward. That would be fantastic. I really hope Venom 3 comes out. I really do hope that Venom 2 does well, and we do see Spider-Man finally cross over. Pull that trigger. But you can always dream. I do dream about other things, but there's a lot I do dream about the MCU, and definitely what ifs. So for the what if with Peggy Carter as Captain America or Captain Britain or Captain, one of the two, how you want to look at it. So look, I do understand that a lot of reviews on it haven't been favourable. I do understand it's got one of the lowest reviews for a Marvel TV show so far. But I don't think it was that bad. I actually really liked the What If series. It a lot of the animation I think is the highest point of it that I do love. It's crisp and it's very much like comic book related. Like you're looking at like more like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Like it's very crisp, it's very clean, that type of comic book style, and I think it's perfect for this type of series that they're trying to produce. And what was also cool was the fact that you did hear very familiar voices. Obviously, you could tell who didn't come back for it. But Captain America, or Peggy Carter, I loved it. I loved the entire episode. Thought it was cool to see. I do like the fact at the very start of the episode, with the Watcher, who's obviously reviewing it, showing the timeline, he does tell you the exact point in which the timeline splits, or this universe goes off. And the fact that that's, Peggy Carter didn't stand up and sit down in the display room. She was actually standing in the actual laboratory room watching Steve about to get into the pod. So I thought that was cool. So at least it tells you exactly where, branched off. You got the different different multiverse. However, obviously, when you did watch the entire episode, you did think, I feel like it was a lot like, obviously it was cool, but obviously it doesn't add anything further to the MCU, which we don't know at this point if it does or if it doesn't. However, I do like the strain of different characters. I do like how Bucky didn't fall off the train, so he doesn't become Winter Soldier. I do like how the fact they did that reverse and Steve Rogers fell off the train, disappeared. And one thing I do love is the fact that Steve Rogers, even without the serum, he still becomes a hero. His life was destined to be a hero, regardless without that serum. But yeah, so that was really, I felt that was really touching. I do like the different, how it all differently played out, opposed to he got the Tesseract, you open the portal, giant squid monster. Red Skull's voice was on point. I love that. And yeah, overall, I thought it was a cool, solid episode. And yeah, I'm pumped to see the next nine episodes. I'm pumped to see where this goes next. Rumor is that apparently the fact that Captain Peggy is actually meant to pop up in more episodes. So it'd be cool to see how that's going to play out. However, yeah, so first episode, I felt like that was really, it was a good launching point. Obviously, at this stage, we don't know a whole lot in how this is going to affect. That I saw the other day, there's another rumor that apparently Captain Peggy's going to rock up in Doctor Strange 2, which I think is a stretch. It's only coming up now because of the What If series. But yeah, so it'd be really cool to see what's next. Obviously, there's rumors going out of what episodes will be what. Obviously, we know from what I said in my last episode, we know that we'll be obviously T'Challa as Star-Lord. There's going to be an invasion with Loki, with Ultron, with Gamora wearing the Thanos armor and holding the blade. So I'm down for it. I can't wait to see what happens next. What will be that what if, what will be that split in the timeline, and 100% continue with the animation. However, with I think Mark and Perry's opinion was that which I do understand, is that it was very, very like, okay, Cool. Thank you. Didn't need to know that. I didn't know I needed to know that, but that's it. Which I do get. Like, that's what I mean. Like, you don't know, what this is actually going to affect anything in the MCU, or this is just a, this is just to fill in the gap, just for, FYI. However, across the board with all four of us is the fact that the animation is stunning, on point. I think that is probably the highlight for this, is that they've got that 100% right. So, ready for the next episode and see what actually is the next episode. There's a lot of rumblings of what episode is going to be next, or what's going to what. I don't believe Marvel have actually released what the episode listing is, 100% or confirmed. So it'd be really cool to see what's next. The most rumored one I've seen is the next one's going to be T'Challa as Star-Lord, which, as I said, I'm up for more Chadwick Boseman. Still very sad, RIP. And yeah, I'm going to make sure that every episode that he does appear in, I make sure I'm going to watch it in full and just take the time with it. Probably watch it again, because as I said, like, anyone who's a fan of Black Panther or Chadwick Boseman, you should be watching the What If, because it's his last hurrah, and it makes the show more intriguing to watch and sadder at the same time. So gonna be look forward to it. Can't wait to see the next episode brings out. So this is a topic that I've been thinking about all week since we last our last member podcast, or last episode came out, was movies or animated movies that you've watched and you're like, you know what? I want to see that in live action. That needs a live action movie, or demands a live action adaptation, if you will, depending how you wish to say it. So my very first pick on this, which when I bring out this whole list, please comment and let me know what your thoughts are. I'd love to know what everyone's opinions on this is, because this is a topic that sort of like a what if, like what's who would you cast? How would it be shot? What kind of director would you get? Would you do it as a one-off, or would you the whole? If you were a movie studio, would you? All right, I want one movie, or I want a trilogy, or I just want two movies shot back to back. That's it. See where you can go next. So it's that whole what if scenario, and how would you do it? So my very first pick on this entire list, without a shadow of a doubt, is Atlantis: The Lost Empire. That was made through Disney and came out in 2001. So this movie, I love this movie. This is one of my favorite animated adventure movies. Funny enough, if you watch this and you watch the Stargate movie, there's a lot of similarities, which is probably why I love it so much. So this is about a character called Marlo Thatch. He's voiced by Michael J. Fox, Back to the Future for the win, in which he gets a crew together, and they get a crew together, and they obviously go searching for the lost city of Atlantis. A lot of ups and downs. The animation looks really cool in it. Obviously nothing I was about to say out of the water, but I feel like that was too pun intended. So obviously in the water, a lot of back and forth happens, and they eventually do find the lost city of Atlantis, and what they're trying to find is the power source of Atlantis. So how Atlantis has been stayed alive? Well, actually, they think the fact it's buried under the sea, and they thought actually there was no one going to be living in it until they discover it. Spoiler! This is all spoilers. I should put that at the very start of every episode. Spoiler alert, and the fact explicit content of me swearing. That is the two ones I should put back bang on the center. So Atlantis, it's a great movie. So they go try and find Atlantis. They realize there's people living that didn't actually, they submerged underwater. And the fact that, how's this all been going? So they try and find the power source on what's, giving everyone life. And they find out that it's these crystals. Long story short, it is a great adventure movie. if you haven't gone seen it, show your kids. Show your kids. Get on, go watch it. It's a great adventure movie. One of those early 2000s adventure movies with Lion King up there. But yeah, it's kind of one of my favorite movies. It did pretty solid at the box office. They did make a direct sequel to DVD, which obviously with all those early Disney movies they did. Like it took me years to realize that there's actually 2 more sequels to Lion King. There's 2 more sequels to The Little Mermaid. Like, what? So I was surprised about all of that. But yeah, so I would love to see this in a live action movie. Like, big budget. Obviously my favorite pick of one of my favorite directors of all time would be Steven Spielberg. Look, not Zack Snyder. He would do the most epic out of it. But like, I want to see the movie and I don't want to be in that dark tinge he does. Oh, what's his name? Ooh, the tinge, the light reflecting J.J. Abrams. Yeah, look, I like J.J. Abrams' work. Wouldn't want that tinge in the eye, or that that solar flare kind of look he does. Which, yeah, each their own. You go to your own little personal thing you do, but yeah, no, thank you. But yeah, my first pick would be Steven Spielberg, big action movie, and look, I think it'd be fun. Like, I think in this day and age, like, not saying there's too many superhero movies, but like just a plain old adventure movie, and they could do it. Like, there's nothing in that time movie that you could not do with CGI or props or anything. And I think it'd be great, ensemble cast together, and I think it'd be a great movie. It'd be a great adventure movie, just a straight out, just one of those. Doesn't need a sequel. Could just do one hit out of the park. I really wish they would do that one. Next one, which is 100% another one that needs to be done, is Treasure Planet. So Treasure Planet came out in 2002, and it's still by Disney. Just that era of movie. I think Treasure Planet is an awesome movie. Obviously, it is an adaptation from Treasure Island in space. And as an adaptation, I think it was a really good idea they did something like that. And unfortunately, it didn't do overly well at the box office. It's kind of underwhelmed, sort of. See, it was on a budget of 140 million. Box office return was 109 million. So and that doesn't count in for advertisement and everything else in between. But however, which I don't fully understand, because it's a cool movie, and you can tell it's early 2000s because this came out in 2000. This came out in 2002, and it's got Jim Hawkins has Anakin Skywalker Clone Wars haircut, so the rat's tail. And you're like, yep, early 2000, when the only time in those 2 movies in that era of time is a rat's tail cool. If you have a rat's tail and you're a grown-ass man, please cut it off. It is in the same category as a man bun. Like, that's a choice that, it's a choice. It's not, you don't look cool and you don't look anything better. Like, you just look like a douche. Sorry, straight up. Cut it off. Both of them. But yeah, so it's a great movie. So obviously the whole idea is Treasure Planet, trying to find a whole planet that is treasure. Got Jim Hawkins. You've got all your normal characters, as well as you're trying to find Nathaniel Flint's treasure, the loot of 1,000 loots. It's a great adventure movie, which I believe that, still, live action could do it really well. Obviously, if we can do Star Wars, if we can do Star Trek, if we can do Stargate, if we can do Guardians of the Galaxy, this would straight in, right in there. You know, similar thing. It doesn't need a sequel. You could probably punch out a sequel depending how you go with the first one. However, I think it just needs one solid live action movie. You get a very young actor, like obviously not Tom Holland at this stage. He's got a lot on, but same kind of vein. Someone like Tom Holland, and to lead it, and it'd be fantastic. I don't think like all the blueprints there, obviously because based on the book, and the fact that based on the book and based on the movie as well, that you could knock it out of the park. Like, it's awesome, and the animation of the whole movie is really nice and really crisp. And you know, little I know at the time, when I was actually researching this at the time, when it came out, it was actually the most expensive traditionally animated movie ever made at the time, which you can see in the animation. It's crisp, very nice. So yeah, that's another one. Look, punch it, make it, do it. Like, they're trying to look for original ideas, and obviously punching the reboot or the remake button. Just give this a crack. Like, what have we really got to lose? You're not going to lose a whole lot of money. Someone goes, oh, it's going to be, because when's the last time a Treasure Island movie was made? Like, that's probably a good question. But yeah, like Treasure Planet. You got a normal adventure, kid who wants to go on an adventure kind of move. It's also got a killer soundtrack, and it's kind of sad. There's like a whole his father leaving him. It's just, that bit just gets really sad and cuts you. But yeah, 100%. That's another movie that needs to be made. Moving on, my third pick is The Road to El Dorado. Yeah, Road to El Dorado. So this is by DreamWorks, and this came out in 2000. And similar thing, this it didn't do. I don't think it did very well. I think it still underperformed with a budget of 95 million. Box office return 76 million. It's just part of those early 2000 movies. And yeah, The Road to El Dorado was about two guys that obviously found El Dorado being the city of gold. Entire city made of gold. These two guys try and they swindle and they win a map, which takes them straight down. They go on this entire journey to get there, and obviously between the two of them, between Miguel and Tulio, they try and figure it. One wants to stay, one wants to go, one falls in love, and the rest is history. But yeah, that's another, the animation was really nice. A similar thing, another great adventure movie. Actually, these are all adventure movies except for my fourth pick, which is a lot more in depth when I get to it. Yeah, it's obviously based in 1519 Spain, and yeah, I feel like that's another movie that you get two charismatic leads back to back, and they could carry the entire movie. Doesn't matter if you choose a big name for the villain or stuff like that, but you get two charismatic leads, and yeah, blow it out of the water. I'll be down for it. I'll go see it. My fourth pick. Now, my fourth pick is something that I've been trying to punch. I want there to be a live action movie. Now, this is a technicality, because there was a live action movie for this, but it was the biggest pile of garbage that I have seen. And I have watched a lot of garbage movies, and this was really gut-wrenching as a fan to watch this and go, oh, that didn't happen. Oh, it looked like you changed that. Oh, this was all shit. I hope this never sees the light of day again. And technically. So my fourth pick, a franchise that needs, it's still a franchise, an animated TV show or movie that desperately needs another full crack is Dragon Ball Z. This is one of my favorite cartoons when I was a kid, watching on Cheese TV, early 2000s. you'd watch the episode before you went to school, and then obviously you went to school and talked to everyone about it. I still remember when Goku, the lead character, he's in the same kind of realm as, if you haven't ever watched it, go watch it. I understand if you don't, but Goku is like on the same kind of level as like Superman. There's always been a big argument, Superman versus Goku, who's going to win? When Goku turns Super Saiyan for the first time. Like, get me going, how can I express this? Imagine you're watching something and you're like, oh, when's this going to happen? This has been rumored. And it kind of drags on for like, kind of dragged on for about like 20, like when you first heard about it, kind of dragged on for about like 20 episodes. So yes, and Goku turned Super Saiyan for the first time, and I remember going to school that day and everyone talking about it. All my mates were talking about it, and we're like, holy where's this going to do? Where's this going to lead? How much more power has he got? Like, oh, far out. And the whole design of it was really cool. It was just, it was one kind of exciting things. Little did I know at the time the fact that when he turned Super Saiyan for the first time, there's still another 20 or so episodes before he actually beats the villain Frieza, which I do believe in anime culture or anime cartoons, Goku versus Frieza is the longest fight between two characters in a TV show. The funny thing is, there is one episode where Frieza, being the bad guy, wants to blow up the planet and wants to obviously do that. And he says in the episode, look, he's a he or a she. He is the most confusing sexuality of a character in anime I can think of. Go watch it, watch some scenes, and you just be sitting there going, what are you? She says, the fact that like this planet's going to blow in the next 5 minutes. It's like 20 or 30 episodes later, it actually blows up. Which, funny enough, when it finally blows up, it was only like one episode before we actually finally kills Frieza. And you're like, far out. Like, it just drags on. But the funny thing is, it's only 30 minutes each episode, and 30 minutes of each episode. It's a great story. So let me pull back. So Dragon Ball Z is about the Z fighters, which are Earth's last defense against any alien invasion. It's based on an anime comic, in which it produced by the studio Tony Animation. Which this entire story, it's about a guy who he's looking for a fight. He's got the biggest heart, and he just wants to protect his friends, and he's always looking for the next challenge. So it's based on a comic book called Dragon Ball, and then when that ended, you got Dragon Ball Z, and then you got Dragon Ball GT, and then when that ended, obviously we got Dragon Ball Super, which I'm still waiting for when that starts up again. Oh, whenever that will. So that's also another conversation for another day. But the thing is, what my main point for today was the fact that it's about a guy who's always trying to look for the biggest challenge and keeps going. So Dragon Ball Z goes from you got the Saiyan saga, then you've got the Frieza saga, then you get the androids. Android saga was really big at school as well because Trunks, who popped up right after Frieza. Trunks was a character of one of the characters' son, but you didn't know that at the time. But when he did finally tell you, like, whoa, what? Whose son are you? And then the funny thing is, Goku turns Super Saiyan, and you're like, whoa, that's really cool. Then Trunks turns Super Saiyan, and you're like, all right, what? We haven't seen a Super Saiyan before, and now we've got two. Boom, go. And then you got the Android saga, and then you got the Boo saga, and then you got all the filler in between, and there's about 14 movies. So it's lengthy. There is a plethora of material that a studio could, pick from, to start from. Like, it is, like, I think the best way to put it is, imagine having Well, actually, not really. Imagine having, imagine having the MCU all written out for you, bit by bit, this and this and this and this and this, and it's all on paper. All you have to do is, make a film adaptation and adapt it. Like, that's it. Like, you can do prequel movies, you can do sequel movies, you can do intertwining universe movies. Like, you could do everything with this because it's all been done. There's Dragon Ball Z, Story of Bardock, which is a prequel movie, and then you got Trunks, goes on to all of timeline. So there's a whole timeline in that, and the fact with in between movies as well that you can also do. So there's so much they can do with this, and I just don't understand why no one's pulled the trigger on it. Like, I get it can be a little bit tricky, but adapt it. Anything's tricky, but as long as you got the heart in it and do your very best, you can produce it really well. Which I was watching a trailer for Shang-Chi the other day, and I'm like, you can do all this, you can do all the martial arts, you can do all the power thing. Why can't someone do a Dragon Ball Z? God, I sound like a whiny little bitch. But what I was trying to say is the fact they did make a Dragon Ball movie. It was called Dragon Ball Evolution, and it was adaptation. It wasn't. It didn't say Z. It was more adapted for the Dragon Ball. It was more Dragon Ball than it was Dragon Ball Z, and it was just the whole thing was butchered. Acting was average. CGI was average, and the story you're watching going, well, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, what? So that's why I don't really count it. Fans don't count it. Fans think it's sin. It should be buried. It's just like one of those movies that should not see the light of day again. And I can't stress that enough. I would always say that it's in the same vein as The Room. If you want to go see a movie that is the pinnacle of WTF, not like a horror, not that kind of thing, but what is this? Go watch The Room. It is a movie that at the end of it you're just boggled, and it is what regarded as one of the actual worst movies ever made. Go watch that, then go watch the James Franco The Room to see all the backstory behind it, and you watch both of those and you're left with more questions than answers at the end of it. You're like, what the fuck is this crap? Or who is Tommy Wiseau? Go Google that. That's also a WTF thing. But that's another movie for another day, which I'm going to get into. But yeah, so Dragon Ball Evolution is just terrible, and Dragon Ball Z, I feel like it's an entire universe, interweaving movie universe that you could do that's right on paper. And I think right now, in the whole genre, if you adapt it in such a way, depending on the aesthetic of it, it can look very different to what everything we're seeing right now with obviously Marvel, DC, other superhero movies. Aesthetically, you could do it, and I think it would be very different as well. There's a lot of aliens in it, so it would be more. Yeah, when you get further along after the Saiyan saga, there's a lot of aliens that pop up. Well, actually no. So at the very start, there's a lot of aliens and a lot of questions. But for Goku is a character that's so pure-hearted, and he's just looking to protect his friends. And he's the type of guy that would, he would see, if Thanos turned around and said, look, how about you fight me, but I'm going to need all these stones first, and you could fight me at full power. Goku would go get all the stones. He'd collect all of them, bring them to Thanos, and be like, all right, you ready to fight now? Because in his nature of being a Saiyan, always looking for the next big challenge, and next, they love fighting, love the grit of getting into it, and obviously Saiyans being the race they are, the closer they get to death or a near-death experience, they come back even stronger due to the cells in their blood. However, and you could give it a PG rating. However, if you watch Dragon Ball Z in the uncut version, it's PGM. Like, there's a bit of blood, a bit of like arm to torso kind of stuff, or arms getting cut off, or limbs, stuff like that, people exploding. This was a kid's cartoon. Whole generation built on it. But that is probably one of the ones I do believe it needs to be done properly. Dragon Ball Evolution never happened, but if you do this, if you do pull the trigger and you do go with the mentality of we're going to build a universe on this, I do believe Goku needs to be a very young actor, up and coming, because it's a character you can play for about 10 movies, like Hugh Jackman Wolverine, Robert Downey Jr. and Iron Man. Like, it's a character that you can keep back and forth. And the funny thing is, even if Goku doesn't want to appear, there's still plethora of movies that they can still make and still make the franchise without him having to be in it. Like, there's a whole section of movies after the Cell Saga where Goku doesn't appear. It's his sons, or it's Trunks or different characters. So you can, if he does, whoever plays Goku decides to know, I'm done, I'm good, you can still keep going with the franchise before you press that wonderful round reboot button. That is my top 4 movies. Another one I would say is The Incredibles. That would be another one. Now, the reason why I didn't say The Incredibles is because The Incredibles is a lot like a Fantastic Four movie. Go look up both of them and you'll completely see why. And I know we're getting a Fantastic Four movie, so I don't need to see Incredibles live action. But however, Incredibles is one of the best superhero movies. It's 100%. Pixar, that's something that Pixar knocked straight out of the park in the first go. So that's why I include The Incredibles. But that's my top 4 picks, especially Dragon Ball Z. That needs a live action. In other news, this is my last bit of news, so I can hit the last bit of news for this episode, is the fact that they're actually going to make a Halo TV show. They're finally pulling the trigger on this bad boy, and we're meant to see this in 2022 on Paramount Plus, like Disney Plus and all that. I don't know where the plus comes from. But they're going to make a Halo TV show. Master Chief is going to be in it. There isn't a whole lot of news about it now, but obviously we're going to see more news coming up for my video game news. So they're going to make a Halo TV show. I'm down for this. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. However, how are they going to tackle this? Obviously, the fact that Master Chief, you don't see his face. That's the whole point of it. But in saying that, as we've seen in previous films, you don't need to always see their face. You can still have a lead character, and you don't see his face and just the emotion, obviously just their voice. So it can be done without seeing his face. So I think it'd be So I'm actually really cool for that. I hope that they pump a lot of money into this. Obviously, there's going to have to be a lot of CGI. If you do go on YouTube, you do see a whole bunch of different live action interpretations of Halo. But Halo is a very treasured video game franchise, and it's one of those very few video games that when you listen to the music, it just takes you back. Early 2000s, right up there. So that's coming out, so I'm pumped for that. I hope to bring out more news when more news comes up. I'll be dying to see how they do it. Thank you very much, guys, for joining my episode today. As I said at the very start, please go check out my Instagram page. Please like, share, subscribe, everything else in between. I really hope you've enjoyed today's episode, and I appreciate everyone who keeps coming back week after week and listens to me rant, rave, and review. And hasn't got sick of my voice. So until next time, guys.
Thanks for listening to Lights, Camera, Rant. If you like the show, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. While you're at it, leave us a rating and review, and be sure to tell your friends. Until next time, happy ranting.